Part 1. A Scorching Summer and a Broken Air Conditioner. Junghee, 66, stared at the thermometer hanging on the wall. The red digits glared back at her, 35 degrees. The suffocating heat had already filled the house since morning, pressing into her chest like an invisible weight. She sighed without meaning to. 4 years had passed since her husband's death, and though she thought she had grown used to living alone, moments like this reminded her how lonely it could be. She pressed the air conditioner remote several times, but nothing happened. The machine, which had been sputtering for years, had finally given up. Junghee opened the refrigerator, poured herself a glass of cold water, and drank. The cool liquid slid down her throat, yet the heat clung to her skin. Her damp hair stuck to the back of her neck, and the thin blouse she wore clung to her with sweat. She remembered the days she worked as a nurse, always busy caring for patients, but now time seemed unbearably slow. She scrolled through her phone and found a photo she had taken of a flyer on the apartment notice board. It was for an air conditioner repair service. Junghee hesitated for a moment, then dialed. "Hello, my air conditioner's broken." A man's voice answered. "Sure, give me your address and I'll stop by this afternoon." When the call ended, silence filled the apartment again. The fan blew hot air that only stirred the heat. She wiped the sweat from her face with a towel, then stood in front of the mirror. Wrinkled blouse, disheveled hair, skin that had lost its firmness. For 30 years, she had kept herself neat as a nurse, but these days she rarely bothered. Yet now, the thought of someone coming over left her strangely nervous. At 2 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Junghee hesitated, then opened the door. A man in his early 60s stood in the doorway. Broad shoulders, neatly pressed work clothes, beads of sweat shining on his forehead. But what struck her most was his gentle smile. "Hello, I'm here to repair your air conditioner. My name's Junghee." "Please come in. It's hot, isn't it?" "A little. I'll be fine." He stepped inside, neatly removing his shoes. With practiced ease, he opened his toolbox and began dismantling the indoor unit. Junghee watched from the kitchen, then poured a glass of barley tea and brought it over. "Here, have some tea. You must be hot." "Thank you. I was thirsty." As she handed him the glass, their fingers brushed. His hand was rough but warm. For a moment, it felt as though time stopped, and she pulled her hand back quickly. Junghee laid newspaper on the floor so as not to dirty the carpet, moving with careful precision. He never leaned against the wall or dropped a single screw. Junghee found herself staring at his shoulders, then quickly looked away, startled by her own thoughts. It had been years since she had felt anything like this. "The parts are worn," Junghee said. "Can it be fixed?" "I'll need to replace a component. I'm not sure I can finish today, but I'll try." Worry flickered across her face, yet somewhere inside she felt a strange relief. The idea of him staying longer didn't seem so bad. In fact, she realized she wanted it. "I'll go fetch the part," he said as he packed his tools. "It might take a while. Will that be okay?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, take your time." When he left, silence fell again, but it wasn't the same silence as before. Junghee's heart was racing. She brushed her hair, changed into a fresh blouse, and even dabbed on an old lip balm she hadn't touched in years. It felt like waiting for something she hadn't known she missed. 2 hours later, Junghee returned. Junghee had set out sandwiches and fruit on the table. As he entered, a faint fragrance lingered in the air, and she lowered her eyes in embarrassment. "You probably haven't eaten yet. Please, have some." "You didn't have to go to this trouble." "Thank you." They sat across from each other, sharing the simple meal. Their conversation flowed easily, stories from his years of visiting countless homes and her memories from the hospital. They laughed, and even when silence came, it felt comfortable. Afterward, he resumed the repair. Junghee found herself watching the furrow of his brow, the strands of hair damp with sweat, the strong arms moving with steady precision. She scolded herself for noticing, but her heart kept beating faster. By evening, the air conditioner whirred back to life, filling the room with cool air. Junghee sighed in relief, yet also felt an ache of disappointment. Soon, he would leave. "Now you'll be able to sleep comfortably tonight," he said with a smile. "Thank you, truly." As he packed up his tools, he handed her a business card. "Call me anytime if there's another problem." Junghee took the card, then hesitated before speaking. "Mr. Yoon, if you have time someday, would you like to stop by for tea? You've been such a help." For a moment, surprise flickered across his face, then he smiled. "If Sunday afternoon works, may I come by?" Her face lit up. "Yes, I'd like that." That night, Junghee slept more deeply than she had in years. Even in her dreams, Song Ho's face appeared.